guess I got into playing guitar when I was about 12, and I sort of had drifted into harder and harder rock, you know. I need a workhorse. I need something that's gonna hold up. I tour a lot and play hard on the instruments. This one, a friend of mine, Dan from Alkaline Trio, put it up on eBay. It's like, buy Dan from Alkaline Trio's acoustic guitar. And I called him and I was like, take that thing down. I'll buy it. On a tour I did about 6 months ago, I sheared the headstock right through here and put a picture up online of it. And a couple days later, he was like, what did you do to my guitar? It happens when you're out on tour. I passed it over and misjudged the tech and it fell. For me, they're kind of like tools. I come from contracting and I just kind of look at it the same way you would a drill or a saw. You know, there are those certain guitars or whatever or amps that you have a sentimental attachment to, but for me, I wouldn't want to bring them out on tour. I use this just to get the job done. This song's called We Could Be Kings, and it started off with this much more aggressive riff. It was like something like that. I don't even remember how it went, but it was some really like punchy sort of riff based on power chords. And when we were doing the pre-production on the record and got the band all together, my buddy Mitch said, hey, I want to change that. And I was kind of not into it initially, and he came up with that figure that's much more like a little more, well, more delicate and more appropriate, I think, to the lyric and all that stuff. To me, it's all about songs, and again, I'm trying to be a little bit more focused on the mechanics of guitar playing and the mechanics of piano and all that stuff, because I think long term, the more people that show up to your shows, you know, the better you want to be. Like, you kind of owe it to them to be more proficient and to grow as a musician and as a songwriter. But for me, that you got to be able to boil the song down to its basic elements and still have it be interesting and get the point across. So for instance, the song goes, it goes from here. That's not really a chord. You should say, like a full chord, but if you can stay kind of pinned, so I'm not really moving my hand that much, and it doesn't sound that bad. It doesn't sound great. It's not as good as, but again, that's what I meant by the tone kind of being dictated by the limited guitar knowledge and sort of the punk rock not being that great of a guitar player, sort of like over time dictates the way you shape chords and stuff like that, and that ends up showing up in many, many different voicings on the records.
This is rejection, it's bringing you down. He told you that he'd find work soon, and he stopped coming around. Those were the summer's sweet nights. He used to take you for rides, but it all changed in the backseat when he came inside. Well, I've seen enough to know he's old enough to know what's right from wrong. But I know how hard it is to see things through. Oh no, did it rip you apart to be told we could be kings when we were damned from the start?
So the lyric of this song, it's sort of specifying what it was like to grow up. For a lot of people in the 80s, I guess, there was a lot of teenage pregnancy and a lot of scenarios where the only option for working class kids was this idea of going into the military that they kind of sold as, oh, we haven't been at war for years. And then suddenly we've been in one for 4 years. People don't hold authors and poets and actors and directors to the same set of standards. In other words, if you read a book and it was in first person, it doesn't necessarily mean that the author is telling his story. But I think for some reason with songwriting and music, it's probably just because it's such a personal thing. People latch onto music in such a uniquely personal way that they assume if you say I, it means this happened to me and my friends. If I just wrote about my actual life all the time, it would be I loaded in at 6 p.m. and played a show at 9. I had a couple drinks and went back to the hotel.
I know they ripped you apart. They told us we could be kings when we were down from the start.
The end result is always great. You feel great when you finish a song, but it's brutal because I edit too much too quickly. So it's this whole mental game. It's shaking off self-doubt, and is that cheesy or is that good? I mean, there's a fine line between those two things.
I'm not promising you some bright side, and I'm not trying to break your stride. But you asked me, he was gone in an instant. You said nobody was spared. Not gonna tell you he loved you, not gonna tell you he cared.
I mean, with songwriting, it's even saying songwriter or poet or any of that stuff to me seems a little silly. You're just making up songs and trying to make them interesting and rhyme and and pleasurable to listen to, I guess. I don't know. So I'm not sure. Like, I probably am not even doing it right, but if people are listening, then I guess that's all that matters.
I won't go and rip you apart, so open wide and just sing, 'cause we're all down. Open wide and just sing, 'cause we're all down from the start. We're down from the start. Don't let it